So that started the evolution process. I started there in '96 as an operations manager, had worked heavy construction and multiple landfill projects for about 5 years leading up to that. And then in '97 took over as a general manager, and we did a complete restructuring. So we evolved through the waste business, become competitive, expanded our recycling operations, tried to diversify that company. And as we're nearing capacity on the south side landfill, we tried to figure out what we're going to do. What's the next step for the Wayne Township Landfill? And we looked at different sites, we looked at different facilities, different geographical areas. And at the end of the day, we kept coming back to, we're in McElhattan, there's an old landfill there that's a long-term liability because it doesn't have a liner under it. It has all the infrastructure there. The neighbors know us. Let's just recycle the landfill. So that, in 2007, we put a permit application into DEP to do just that. So the plan was, there's a 60-acre trench landfill. We'll submit an application to DEP, see if we can get approval. If we can, we'll mine the 60 acres of trash out of the ground, and we'll build a 75-acre modern-day landfill on top of that. Kind of a big undertaking. There was about 1.5 million cubic yards of waste buried in there, so it's a substantial earth-moving job. Most of that's garbage, so you know, it was quite an undertaking, but at the end of the day, all the stars just kept pushing us back to stay where we're at and recycle that landfill. So that's what we've done. We've been working on that for about 7 or 8 years now. We've mined about 35 acres of old trash, and we have built 25 acres of new facilities. So we mine trash over the winter, build fields over the summer, and just keep going in bits and pieces and widening out with the ultimate goal to a 75-acre facility, and that is going to supply 40-plus years of disposal capacity for the region. So we have a long-term solution to the area's waste needs, and it's cost-effective, environmentally sound, and that kind of gets us to the topic that we really want to talk about, which is recycling. So I mentioned diversification. We started the recycling program that was with the mandate in '88 and started the educational process. And initially the focus was to try and encourage glass recycling, plastics recycling, fiber products, which is paper, cardboard, mainly cardboard in that era. Then of course aluminum tin cans as well. So that was the infrastructure that the DEP mandated down to all the counties to try and implement. And I think this group was actively involved with probably some regulations at that point, and then also educational stuff. So that was all well and good. It was a subsidized service provided by waste management facilities. So the trash tonnage coming into the landfill, $2 or $3 a ton, was added on top of operating cost and was pushed over to subsidize recycling. That's how the programs got started. That worked its way through for a decade and a half. Along comes China with its massive growth and appetite for commodities. The recycling programs ramp up. They find ways to get more material. China's buying every single thing we can send them. We look at ways to get more volume and more products and expand to office paper and newsprint and all the different things that we know about recycling today. China's buying all this stuff, and they don't care what we're sending them. So for 15 years, the U.S. recycling industry ramped up production, found ways to go faster, which conceptually meant lowering operating costs with higher volume. The unfortunate reality of that was what the U.S. was sending China was 85 to 90% of what they wanted to buy, 10 to 15% trash. So we come here and order a salad for lunch. We expect to buy a salad and pay for a salad. We don't expect to get 90% of a fresh salad and 10% of what was left on somebody else's plate. If we're real hungry, we'll live with it for a while. We'll just push that off to the side and we'll keep coming back and getting that salad. And that's what China was doing. They were really hungry for commodities, so they were just buying it. And along the way, our infrastructure in the U.S. ramped up to more volume, faster pace, lower operating cost, hurry, hurry, hurry. And nobody assumed that China would ever say, you know what, we're paying 100% price for a product and you're sending us 90%. That has to end. So as their economy started to slow a little bit a few years back, they started looking at why are we paying for cardboard at global market prices. We're buying 100% price and we're getting 90% product and 10% garbage. And that was the U.S. recycling industry as a whole. That's what we were doing. We were sending them rapidly processed recyclables and just pushing the trash rate through. It's close enough. It's 90%. And most of us in this room wouldn't want to live with those standards. If we go buy something and we pay market price for it, we expect it to be 100% of what we're after. Well, this industry wasn't doing this. We were shipping 90%, close enough. The rest is trash. And that China finally said that's enough. So about 3 years ago, they started sending warnings to us that, look, we're done dealing with the U.S.'s trash. And nobody really believed them. We were like, well, they're growing too fast. Just keep sending it. Mix everything together, do what we can to separate it, close enough, load it on the ship, and send it. So what has happened is the prices, as China then, so 3 to 4 years ago, these warning flags started going up that we're starting to get concerned. 2 to 3 years ago, they become a little more than warning flags. And within the last couple of years, they've said, look, we're done taking your garbage. We want to buy commodities. We're selling you commodities. We're done. We want 97, 98% pure products. And our industry as a whole has evolved to a situation where we can't produce that product. Single stream recycling is really nice and it's really convenient, but you send a contaminated product out the backside because you've got everything mixed together when it goes in the front door. As long as China's been buying it, that didn't really matter. But when they said that we'll pay 97, 98% pure, other than that, we don't want it. So that has kind of pushed the recycling industry into, I don't know if collapse is the right term, but I'm going to read you a few numbers. It's probably collapse is the reality of it. An example of a few of the numbers. So corrugated containers, cardboard. Right now the market is at $28 a ton. So a lot of you that aren't used to dealing with these, that number doesn't mean much. A year ago that number was 70.